Linear game design isn't a binary choice between open worlds and hallways. There is a broad spectrum separating the most linear experiences from the widest sandboxes. Linear game design is functional. It allows for a tight pace, elaborate set pieces, and a coherent narrative. In the best case, this focus can make for games that are exciting thrill rides. In the worst, it can leave the player feeling as though they've been ushered down a hallway. We can evaluate how linear a game is by looking at how directed the gameplay is at any given moment. How much agency and exploration are available to the player. Less linear doesn't necessarily mean sandbox. Most games benefit by incorporating a mix of player agency and linear focus. The best games will find the right ratio in order to meet their design goals. So what is the problem with linear games? Trouble arises when a player's desired course of action conflicts with the developer's intentions. This clash can be abrasive to many. It shatters immersion and can make the player feel claustrophobic. The best linear experiences succeed in making the person playing the game feel in control, even when they're not. Games like Half-Life 2, Resident Evil 4, and Inside guide you down a planned path while maintaining the illusion of player agency. Perhaps you've had the experience in which a game world seems to present options to you, logical possibilities that are actually impossible to carry out. Take this early section in Battlefield 3's campaign. A rocket sniper is called out on the second story of a building and suddenly you're being rushed by a whole bunch of his friends. You're instructed to stay away from the cars and take out the snipers. One option that seems possible, that seems available, is to run behind this nearby wall, take cover, and pick off the sniper and his friends. However, attempting to take cover behind the wall creates a failure state. You're just not allowed back there. It's not that that part of the game world doesn't exist, it does. However, the designers chose not to allow the use of the area despite rendering it and making it accessible. Bad design like this is all too common in shooters, and it serves as a clear example of how strict, linear design can antagonize player agency. This can make the player feel out of control, as though they're being pushed down a hallway. Design choices like these ignore the key strengths of the medium, those of player authorship and interactivity. Keep in mind, the player doesn't actually have to be able to design the narrative, they just need the illusion of doing so. Uncharted 2 and 3 are examples of linear games that can feel a bit confined. While their narrative and set pieces have been cited as industry-leading, the linear map design remains a common criticism. It's obvious that Naughty Dog took note here. With Uncharted 4, they adopted a new approach, one they dubbed wide linear. While maintaining a quick-paced story and progression, many paths open up, allowing for player variety and exploration. The game remains focused, yet the wide linear approach allows the player a greater sense of authorship. It turns the hallway into a valley, blurring the boundary between player choice and designer intention. Naughty Dog found a way to make the player feel empowered, even while being led from point to point. A chief complaint of linear games is that they lack replayability. Strictly speaking, this isn't always the case. Super Mario Bros., despite being ruthlessly linear, offers endless replayability. This has to do with its depth. According to game developer Mike Stout, depth refers to the level of challenge present in a specific mechanic. In more simple terms, the game requires mastery. Super Mario Bros. Is fun to play, in a large part because it's an easy game to learn, but a difficult one to master. The evolution of the Mario series is important in that it demonstrates how to add breadth to an already deep game, without making sacrifices. According to Stout, breadth refers to the number of game mechanics available to the player. Super Mario World successfully incorporated variety and scope to complement that deep gameplay present in the original. It's just a more developed version of Super Mario Bros. Super Mario World provided more ways to complete each level. The addition of an overworld allowed for skipping hard maps or replaying great ones, new power-ups altered the number of available playstyles, and Mario gained help from a friend. Super Mario World shows how to translate a tight, refined experience into a more broad space. Nintendo was able to add breadth without compromising its original formula. The lesson here is simple: opening up linear mechanical experiences can often make for an even better game. Super Mario Bros. Is far from the only series to demonstrate this. Many influential series have made the transition from strict linearity to something a lot more open-ended. Castlevania began life as a linear side-scroller. A mystical rendition of gothic castles and forests, its ambitions hampered only by the technical limitations of its time. Its world was atmospheric yet shallow. Something was missing. While early Castlevania titles attempted to add breadth by incorporating alternate routes, Symphony of the Night provided a better solution. It took the strengths of its previous iterations and delivered them into a fully realized world. Inspired by Metroid, this new style became known as METROIDVANIA. In Symphony, Dracula's castle stands as a monumental design achievement. An interconnected series of stairs, halls, and caverns, the game takes an open yet gated approach to level design. The player is free to explore at their own pace, yet certain paths remain blocked until specific skills are acquired. This allows the player to create their own experience without straying too far from the designer's goals. The sense of freedom gained from exploring Dracula's castle has an additional effect of making that castle seem like a real place. This game does backtracking in the best possible way. No longer a series of disposable tunnels, but a fully realized world you become acquainted with through exploration. The mix of open and guided gameplay utilized in Metroidvania design artfully combines two seemingly opposite styles. Variations on this philosophy have been employed by games like Resident Evil, Dark Souls, and Batman Arkham Asylum. These games are able to craft memorable and explorable worlds that keep the player directed and engaged. The Witcher 3 and Metal Gear Solid 5 let us know how a series originally known for its narrative focus can add scope through a vast open world. Both were able to improve upon their predecessors by translating proven game mechanics into an expanded play space. The designers of these games asked the question, how can we make this a better game? And responded with enhanced breadth and player agency. More open design won't always be an improvement. In some cases, it could be harmful. Titles like Inside and Brothers, which rely on set pieces and environmental storytelling, would likely suffer from additional gameplay scope. Conversely, Uncharted 4 and games like that show us that narrative-driven games can still add openness while maintaining pace and improving overall quality. Deep gameplay mechanics often complement and improve a strong narrative. Super Mario Bros. And Castlevania show us that adding depth and breadth can make great games even better. Metal Gear Solid 5 and The Witcher 3 prove that some games were just born to be open world. There will always be a place for linear games. I want to see developers use linear design intelligently, so as to complement and allow for player authorship and replayability. I want to see linear games that don't unnecessarily limit how users enjoy those game worlds or interact with the game systems. I want linear games that feel more like valleys than hallways. As always, thank you for watching. My name's Aaron, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.